Time is running out for lawmakers on Beacon Hill this week.
Craig Sandler with the State House News Service joining us live to break down some of the big questions in play. Good morning, Craig.
Good morning, Rondello. Jen, good
All
to
right,
see
Craig.
you.
Good to see you, too. Before we get to other topics this morning, obviously we want to touch on the attempted assassination of the former president last night. How are lawmakers in our area reacting this morning?
Well, I think that by and large, our politicians are in kind of a tough position. They're very liberal, they're very Democratic, they're very anti-Trump. So all of a sudden they need to pivot to compassion without appearing hypocritical. The statements that I saw and heard, by and large, I guess, seem to do that. But I think that whether you pull that off, compassion without being a hypocrite about it, is really in the eyes, the political eyes of the beholder.
Very well, then. So we have dozens of issues locally, from maternal health to the return of happy hour swirling around Beacon Hill. Why do you think some of the biggest stories might come from outside of the State House?
Well, I think that the big stories of the week may come from Houston and Milwaukee. I say Houston because Steward Healthcare, which owns 8 hospitals in Massachusetts, it's bankrupt, and buyers for its 8 hospitals in Massachusetts, 800,000 patients, 16,000 employees. Bids for those hospitals are due in tomorrow, and they're going to open them in bankruptcy court in Houston on Thursday. And so Governor Healy and her management team, they are on red alert both tomorrow and through the week. And one of the big questions in play is, are these buyers good, solid buyers? And are they going to want financial assistance from the state? The line has been, we're not going to bail out any hospitals. But if they seem to be good buyers, it could well be that Governor Healy has to come up with some money to make sure these hospitals stay open.
Okay, and Craig, the country's laser focused on the Republican convention, and the governor will also have Milwaukee on her mind, won't she?
Right. That's right. I mentioned Milwaukee, and by that I mean, of course, the convention. It's obviously taken a different course with this attempted shooting, but in general, politically, the governor is very well qualified to serve as one of the leading spokespeople against Donald Trump. She made national news last week, commenting on President Biden. Now she wants to pivot, and they all want to try to get the race back on track as a referendum on the president. Healy is not in the top tier of Democratic stars yet, but she's probably at the top of the middle tier and rising. And of course, there's nobody really more qualified to go anti-Trump than a former attorney general who sued his administration 4 dozen times when she was attorney general. So it'll be an interesting week for her in that regard.
Getting back to the agenda for the coming week, when they're not thinking about Stewart or the Republicans, what do you think lawmakers might accomplish? The deadline for formal action is coming up fast now. It's on July 31st.
Yeah, and I mean, there's hundreds, there may be thousands of activists, lobbyists, political advocates of all sorts who are really on the edge of their seat about what will and will not pass. State House is going to be buzzing over the next couple of weeks. I think they will get the budget done. We're the last state in the nation without a budget. You're very likely to see a housing creation bill. I will say that in the wake of the attempted shooting, probably that gun control improvement bill is more likely than ever to come out of conference committee. I think we'll see a hospital finance reform bill that's more than 50-50, and I think that there's another bill that we will see pass that provides billions of dollars for the life sciences industry and the climate tech industry, 2 real leaders in Massachusetts.
Okay, Craig, current events, driving policy now with the attempted assassination top of mind.
Yes, ma'am.
Lots to keep track of. Thank you. Have a good week.
Pleasure being with you. Have a good week.